Hello there. Welcome to the third and final installment of people breaking out their secret skills on Reddita. To get the boring part out of the way, if you like the video, like and subscribe. If you want to get notified about the daily upload, hit the bell. Okay, on with the video. Enjoy. r/askreddit. Has anyone ever challenged you to something you are an expert at without them knowing it? If so, how did it turn out for them? Not an expert, but I was invited to a Christmas party last year. They had a dessert competition. Not very many people knew I'm going to college for culinary arts. Won unanimously. He told me that he wanted a rematch next Christmas. I'm taking my baking class this semester. Good luck, mister. Owner of the restaurant I work at brings in this gimmicky as seen on TV vegetable dicer. The kind where you still have to use a knife to get the food small enough to dice. I laughed at him as he tried to tell me how much time it's going to save us in the kitchen. He challenges me. 3 onions. Small dice. Winner gets a case of beer. I've been cooking professionally for close to 2 decades. So long story short, that was some good beer. Sit on flimsy furniture. So I have been playing DDR since I was a kid, even had a nice thick dance pads to play on. Some guy was trying to show off to a bunch of girls at an arcade. When he finished, I walked up to the machine and he made some offhand comment that I could have a heart attack. So I threw it on doubles and heavy mode. That shut him up. I used to play trumpet in a local symphony. I gave it up because people became too competitive and dicks rather than just accepting the fact that we were making music. My friend was in the orchestra as well as a violin player. After I had quit, I went to one of the concerts. And afterward, I had no trouble getting backstage because I used to be tight with the security guard back when I played. So I met up with my friend. And he asked what I thought about things and how they sounded. After I gave him my thoughts, he joked that they were missing a strong trumpet part. This launched me into a little critique of the brass section. Just then this girl, must have been fairly new because I have no idea who she was, walks up to me and says very bitch like, "I overheard what you're saying. Who in the hell do you think you are to criticize our music like that?" I simply said, "Honey, I was the principal trumpet player for 5 years." She then tried to make up for her rudeness and asked why I no longer played. I smiled and said, "Because of people like you." I wouldn't call myself an expert, but I grew up playing euchre with my dad and granddad. Those two knew their stuff and taught me well. At staff Christmas party last year, I was standing by the cards table. I worked for a company that was very much an old boys club. I was the only staff member present who had been there less than 15 years and was a young female, so you can imagine what they thought of me. I was asked to sit in and hold a spot while one of the guys went to go get drinks. I was partnered up with the logistics manager and was playing the CEO and engineering manager. I ended up winning 2 rounds single-handedly, and therefore the game. The CEO chewed out the engineering manager for his shoddy decision making and stormed off. Oops. I get challenged on an almost weekly basis. I'm a petroleum geologist, a fracker you might say, and I routinely meet people who are talking about a subject they know absolutely nothing about. My buddy and I were at a shit bar in the Bronx, just playing pool. 2 guys, extremely local looking, come over and challenge us to a game. We wiped the floor with them. They asked us for another with $20 on the line. We refused because we were terrible and knew they were trying to hustle us. You think you're good at wasting someone's time, but I am the expert. So I ski a little bit. Well, a lot. Since I was 2 and I'm currently 16. Also, I raced competitively and went to state and went all conference my freshman and sophomore year, currently a sophomore. In my free time I ski terrain park, so I'm fairly good at both. Some kid at school challenged me to a race on a school ski trip. He was cocky and nobody liked him. He skied a few years himself, and I slaughtered him. Also, I gave him a head start and wiped the floor with him. Then he raced me on a course. I beat him by a few seconds each time, which is a lot of time in racing. Then he challenged me to a terrain park competition. He gave up after I did a 450 out off the first rail. One stroke 4 spin coming out of the rail. Mind you, this was all on my park skis, which are not my race skis. Skiing isn't very big at my school. When I was at uni, a friend of one of my housemates was doing a PhD in Irish studies. Now I'm Irish. Born there. Lived in England most of my life and don't have an accent, so most people just assume I'm English, or that because I've lived in the UK so long that I don't know much about Irish history. This guy decided to try and teach me about the Easter Rising of 1916 and telling me that the flag that was raised wasn't the same one as we now know as the Republic of Ireland flag. It was a different one. To which I replied, I know. My great uncle was the one who hoisted it. We've got the signed military records from that day at my parents' house. Schooled? I was at the gym at work and there's a fit looking older guy running on the treadmill. There's also another guy there wandering around. Not really working out but trying to talk to everyone and offer advice. What is it with guys thinking girls need help in the gym? Haha. Just being a pest in general. He wanders over to the guy running and starts asking him what he's training for. Running guy answers ultra marathon in a few weeks. Annoying guy is impressed but jokingly and says, will you win? RG. Probably. AG. Oh. Haha. Yeah. You've always got to be positive, right? RG. Well, I've won it for the last 3 years and the closest person to me was 50 minutes behind me. So yeah. I'm pretty positive. I surreptitiously checked out his name on the sign-in register and went back to my desk to Google him. Yep. Multiple records for ultra marathons. 24 hours road and treadmill races. 48 hours treadmill races. : Well, one time a guy found out I won multiple TKD tournaments and wanted to challenge me to a boxing match. Saying TKD didn't help you with real fighting, because you know boxing is so much more realistic. So we boxed and he left the gym with cuts on both lips and lots of red marks on his face. I wasn't even going very hard. Just because someone does TKD doesn't mean their hands are useless. Just means the kicks are awesome and fun. My ex once mentioned in passing that he knows French. I didn't even have to be an expert. BF. Hey. I know French. Me. Do you really? BF. Yes. I know it so well. Me. Your test starts now. BF. What? Me. Aujourd'hui. On parlerait seulement en français. BF. Bonjour. Me. L'ira. Whenever somebody starts bragging about their car audio system, everybody seems to think their system is way louder and has the capability to break glass. Fact is, my love for setting up car audio lead me to pursue an electrical engineering degree. Everybody thinks their system is awesome until they hear my perfectly tuned sub box. That doesn't overpower the mids and highs, nor drops the voltage. I have a friend who always finds wacky physics theories on the internet and tries to convince me that they are correct. He left school at 16 and although he is much smarter than you would expect for someone like that, he seems to be easily swayed by what he reads and doesn't know enough to disprove most of what he reads. I am studying physics at a decent university. Not to sound like a bellend, but I know what I'm talking about when it comes to physics. We've had so many arguments where he has completely ignored fundamental parts of physics and claimed that my understanding is lacking. The amount of times I have said I passed an exam on this last week month and he claims his incomplete understanding of things is sometimes infuriating. Props to every expert here whose field isn't video games. Not an expert, but I know how to solve a Rubik's Cube. So when my friend arranged one side of it and was boasting about it, well, it was priceless watching him when I solved it in under a minute. I was a competitive swimmer when I was in grade school. Once when I was probably 10 or so, I was at a swim meet out of town and was doing some recreational swimming in the hotel's pool. There were other children and people swimming around, and I noticed this full-grown man who was challenging some of the kids to races. Obviously he was beating all of these 8-year-olds, some who were still wearing floaties. I swam over and challenged him to a race. We agreed on the terms, to the other side of the pool and back, and started off. I immediately pulled past him and sprinted across the pool and back. After I reached the other side before he had barely started, he just stopped in the middle of the pool and seemed pretty butthurt that he had just been destroyed in a race by a 10-year-old girl. I was kind of upset that he didn't even try to finish the race once he knew he had lost. For me it was the other way around. In middle school and high school I knew a friend of a friend who really loved Call of Duty. One day at a party a few of us happened to be playing COD. After watching him play a bit I go, "Okay, I bet I can take you." Long story short, the guy destroys me and all I could say was, "Oh yeah, I guess you're pretty good." That guy was actually Damon Carmobalo. He is currently a pro COD player and arguably one of the best in the world. TL. Doctor, I challenge one of the world's best COD players to a game expecting to win. I no longer play FPS games. As a female, all of the times I've had a mechanic try to screw me over thinking I didn't know shit about cars. Thankfully my dad has taught me a thing or two. Happened to my rowing coach. She was on a rowing machine in the gym, and some guy came up to her saying she was doing it wrong. She pretended to ask for help with technique. Well, you see, you're using too much back. You have to keep your back up straight the whole time, and just not swing at the hips at all. Oh. Like this? Rows without backswing. Also called under the chest. No. Legs and arms are a different exercise. You gotta do those separately. Oh. Okay. Well. Thanks. I guess my coach told me wrong. Oh. What sport do you play? I'm an Olympic rower. I'm only in New Jersey to train for Beijing. He walked away silently. At the county fair I was on the receiving end of some unnatured heckling from a couple of farmhands. Real good ole boy types. They were being dickheads to everybody who signed up for the skid loader rodeo. Smack talking anybody with how shit hot they are and how anybody else is just embarrassing themselves. For whatever reason they especially targeted me with their Lamasource rural Iowa smack talk. It got to the point where the one got on my face. To make a boring story short, I manage an agricultural business. All I do at said business is operate a skid street tractor. I won $10 and made a pair of brothers eat crow. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.